Anyway, welcome back to Underrated Movies. I'm your guy. I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. Anyway, the black and white. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's doing that. Here, bring to you back another underrated film. In fact, maybe an underrated filmmaker. He had some success early in his heyday, and his films, I don't know. He didn't make a lot of films, but he left a hell of an impact on a lot of filmmakers. And one of them is often regarded as one of the worst films ever made, but I think it's gained a better reputation over time. This filmmaker I am going to mention is Michael Cimino, who's known for directing The Deer Hunter, Heaven's Gate, uh, Year of the Dragon, which is a film I recommend checking out last year. I think around the same time, around late November or December. So it's been a year since I recommend that film, which is actually back on HBO Max. So if anybody who's looking for a good crime film or something a little bit different, or an 80s vibe action crime movie, high tech energy with a little controversy, I recommend Year of the Dragon. However, this film, which I'm going to recommend checking out, it's available now on Tubi, is Desperate Hours, starring Anthony Hopkins, Mickey Rourke. It's a story about a convict who escapes from prison. I think he's about to be on death row, about to be sentenced to prison, but he escapes and takes a family hostage inside their own home. And while there, he is waiting for his girl, or the girl that helped him break out, helped him rendezvous so they can meet up at the spot and get out of there. And the film, for the duration of the time when they're inside the house, is really a cat and mouse mind game where one is trying to outsmart the other, or trying to outsmart, seeing which one slips up, or at least trying to survive so the cops could come and help him out. And this is a very unique kind of film, but it's one of those, it's those hostage films you've seen before, where the action kind of sets it up, and then you have this whole hostage situation which takes place a good chunk of the film, which is actually surprising. This film was a little bit slow getting to there, which is good. I actually kind of like it that it took its time. Then then you have Anthony Hopkins, playing a everyday divorcee who's trying to find a way to kind of rekindle his relationship with his ex-wife, whom they live separate. The house that takes place is in the ex-wife's house. And, well, you're rooting for him, but he plays like an everyday man. Mickey Rourke's character, kind of similar to his character in Year of the Dragon, but he's more evil in this. It's actually surprising seeing younger actors, Eureka, I don't know his name, I don't remember his name is, but and then David Morse. Those two actors are kind of well known somewhat for supporting roles in the 90s and early 2000s, which I don't think David Morse is currently acting anymore. But this film really is intense. It's actually a very intense film. It really kind of gets you kind of nervous and intimidated by Mickey Rourke's character. I haven't seen much of Mickey Rourke's films, but I can tell you this guy was intimidating and a little bit scary in this. This dude who only wants to, I would say, just bunk in with family until his girl, I would say, hostage girl, comes and helps him out, which there's a little of what happens there. He pretty much, he pretty much just tells the family, don't do what I'm telling you to do, otherwise you get hurt, kind of thing. And what I really liked about this film, and actually did some things here that I thought were kind of unique. Aside of the plot, which is very repetitive, it does things I think most other hostage films wouldn't do. And I feel like the characters literally try to outwit one another. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the characters try to make a lot more smarter moves, and then I think you have a very, very intimidating antagonist, and Mickey Rourke sells it in here. Uh, and I like a lot of what the filmmaker Michael Camino does with certain scenes. I like his style on this. One of my favorite scenes in the film is where, as it was actually kind of surprising. I actually kind of like the setup where you think it's gonna go one way and it goes in a different direction. Where there's a sequence here where David Morse is kind of getting, he's facing a lot of anxiety dealing with what's happening with the hostage situation. So he tells Mickey Rourke that he wants to get out of there. He wants to go, and he allows him to go. You kind of expect him to think like, yeah, Mickey Rourke is gonna kill him, but he doesn't, and he allows him to leave. But for a favor, he asks him, could he get rid of a corpse that they um, created in the film. So what happens is that you follow this guy, this sequence of David Morse's character, pretty much tries to find a way to get rid of, the corpse. But it's kind of funny, but it's actually a way I did not expect. It happens in a way to where you don't expect it. It seems like something kind of like just like ironic. And I think this is kind of what happens in this film that I really like, that it feels that Michael Camino sets a lot of ironic scenarios into the movie, and it feels somewhat believable. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some cliches, some Hollywood moments, and some exaggeration I do believe that takes place, especially towards the third act of the film. But and I also love the burst of violence that erodes in in this movie, and actually just in Michael Camino's style. And I like the build up. I think he is a master at building up suspense in his movies. Because when the violence happens, it's quite shocking, and I like that he's able to retain that grittiness and that just darkness when it comes to his thrill sequences. But in this sequence here, when David Morse tries to get rid of that corpse, it's just one scenario after another where he just happens to, and I guess he didn't think this through. He just happens to see some bystanders that see him and notice him, and they freak out because he's covered in blood, and they call the police on him, and he tries to get away. And when he tries to escape, you have the police pretty much just track him down and pretty much just take him out. You kind of expect his character to have like a big old action fight scene with Anthony Hopkins, which doesn't happen. This is a thriller. This is more of a suspense thriller, so that doesn't happen. I kind of like that they kept some realism to it. Um, it's actually a beautiful setup how they do it. I won't spoil it too much, but it's actually a beautiful setup, and I kind of like the subversion that he does with this. I mean, yeah, there's some repetitive regarding the story and then some of the setup, but he takes his time and the ways he's able to pull off the suspense. I think it works better than a lot of of this kind of movie. I think it works a lot better than most of hostage kind of movies that you've seen, because it's rare. I think it's one of the rare ones where you're actually engaged into the situation. You're engaged into the characters. They're believable, and yeah, there's some over dramaticness. The movie came out like in the '90s, or 1990. But I can tell you it's unbelievably um, satisfying how the film ends. And I can tell you, I don't think you'll be disappointed for this film. Desperate Hours, have you seen it? Comment below, let me know if you have, and let me know what is your favorite underrated movie.